And we're trying to create a place where different structures can be set up and tested. Eventually, for the end product of having other people on the reservation and hopefully eventually the world using these styles because they're much more suited for the harsh environments of the land. Right now we have teepees and yurts set up because those are ancient structures that have been tested throughout time and been shown to stand up to many different types of weather, many different speeds of wind. And so we have those structures set up, and we're trying to create here is a place where we can model different building styles, different ways of becoming truly independent of the outside world. Though we know that there's no way to truly cut yourself off from everything else.
So I'm Linda Blackoak, and I am out here at the Tatanka Wakpala Model Sustainable Community. Being sustainable to us means that we get back to a way of life that's closer to Mother Earth. We are addicted to fossil fuels. We are complicit in the rape of our mother, our original mother, and it's gotten to the point where it's completely ridiculous. You know, when I can walk into a store and look at a box of cereal and think about the industry that went into producing just that single box of cereal, rather than being able to say that, you know, I have grown my own food or I am taking part in what my family and my children are consuming. We are so separate from Mother Earth. There's like this shield between us and her right now, to where all we're doing is taking and taking and taking and destroying. We're not giving back to her. We're not taking care of her as our mother. And I take that commitment to the earth as my original mother. I take that commitment very seriously, and that's why we're out here. Now, I want you to keep in mind that Dakota Access and Energy Transfer Partners has never had to follow the rule of law and do an environmental impact statement. So they've never had to say what the environmental impact of this pipeline would be on people, on plants, on water, on wildlife. Because it's also really important to remember that as Native people, we still eat all the plants around here. Go off and collect them. In fact, one of my primary collection sites is a place that I'll show you that no longer exists because they put the Dakota Access Pipeline through there and destroyed everything in its path. And so, like, Native Americans historically have a huge problem with diabetes now. It's like almost 1 out of every 3 people you meet on Standing Rock will have diabetes. That's the stat now. 1 out of every 3 people. And in order to combat that, we have to eat traditional foods, right? And, you know, my genetics are a little different because I'm not from here, but my boys, I can always tell they're healthier, they're happier when they eat traditional food, right? And when they eat food that we grow ourselves. And when they use, like as an ethnobotanist, I use a lot of medicine from here. If you talk to PZ or James about that, they'll tell you that they've almost never in their lives had to go to a doctor because I use medicine that grows right here and like right in the path of the pipeline, right? That was a primary collection site for us. And this is a super sacred area. It's kind of like people have been coming to this area where the Cannonball River meets the Missouri River that's right here for thousands of years from all over the place, all different sorts of tribes, to perform ceremonies, to collect medicine, to collect food, to visit. It is like a primary spot. It's so important that there are people buried, Native people buried all over these sites, all over, because it was such an important place to be. And so that was exactly like why people didn't want them to go through. We were like, there are sacred sites there that could hurt the water. There are medicines there. There's food there, you know, list of all these things. They never once had to address that. Even now, they've never had to address that impact.
I'm excited to see the camps where a lot of the protests happen, just because that's something I was following really closely, and also some of the historical and important sites that we'd be seeing. So I'm really excited for that, to learn more about the history.
You know, imagine going to the front line with like friends of yours, and you guys are all on your knees praying. This happened over and over, holding bundles of sage and praying and holding hands, and like seeing the people that you really love and care about thrown down into the dirt and saying, I'm sorry, I can't breathe because I have dirt in my mouth, but no one caring, getting zip tied in front of you and left to like lay there so that they can go. And while they're laying there zip tied, getting pepper sprayed. You know, people that you love, that you really love. And, you know, seeing those kinds of things really affected people. And so we dealt with injuries from zip tie, rashes, and burns. We dealt with injuries from people running away from police officers. We dealt with rubber bullets. We dealt with beanbag rounds. We dealt with sound stuff, sound grenades. Like they make this popping sound so that, you know, they purposely would try to get people's soft parts when they would shoot at you. So we had numerous rubber bullet injuries to the head and to the soft part of the back. So that some people still have concerns about like blood clots and stuff from those injuries months ago. You know, like it's crazy. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but it's an absolute truth. They kept, when they would arrest people in mass, they would keep them in these dog kennels and wouldn't give them blankets or anything. It was freezing. And it was, you know, this was in the winter, and they would keep people in these like weird dog kennels. And then like, you know, they would write numbers on their arms, and they refused to call people by their names. They only would refer to them by their number, and, you know, would keep them there for days and didn't even feed them sometimes. They'd have to go 12 hours without eating or drinking. And we're talking elders too, you know, elderly women who were put in those conditions. This is happening like in the United States, right? I mean, this is, you know, crazy. And not just, it's not just happening in the United States, it's happening in the United States to the original people of this land. And all because they don't want a pipeline to go through under the sacred river and destroy their food and medicine. That's it. That's the only reason that all of that happened, you know? And so it's just absolutely insane, some of the things that we've seen. I'm a different person. Like, I'm a totally different person than I was a year ago. But I've had a really amazing support network, thank God, because it is total madness. Total madness. So.
I really like talking to Linda because just learning about all the different human rights problems that there are right now with this, and learning like what I can do, and just like the problems I never knew existed are really interesting to hear about, and I really like that.
Whenever Linda talks and tells us about all the like human rights violations and stuff like that they go through, it's always like horrifying, and it's crazy to think about. So that's something I didn't expect as much.
This was like full, yeah. Like, it was amazing. It was an amazing sight because, you know, there weren't any, like, it was like a city, but not a city. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a city like you would ever think of. Yeah. And like, it makes me sad to look out there right now because I think about what we would be doing and about how, you know, like you could see how little damage we actually had done. They tried to make it sound like we just turned it into a wasteland. But like we would be planting gardens here and things like that right now. If things had gone differently, that's what we'd be doing. We would be trying to move forward to sustainability. So, yeah, and then it was big camp along over there too that went all the way like as far as the eye could see. There were people. So everything that you see here was completely full. Something else that you guys won't see is that just a few weeks ago, it looked like a World War II war zone over there. They had dug these massive trenches and filled them with razor wire all along the road, all along all the roads to keep people from going in there to where the drill pad is. I mean, like, it was just crazy. Like, I have photos of it and even some film of it, film footage. Like, when people saw it, they just couldn't believe what they were seeing. Like think about, like, and they were like, they put them up like trenches that people could hide behind, like snipers and people could hide behind. It was total madness. Like, and it was like right here, and it was us. It was people who like were non-weaponized that they were doing that against. I mean, like, trenches taller than me that they filled with razor wire, and like some of that razor wire, they just have it balled up and laying on the ground all over the prairie. So they try to accuse us of not cleaning up. They have not cleaned up, you know. So there's that stuff, balls of razor wire laying all over the prairie. It'll be there forever because they're not going to clean it up. So, yeah. Okay. So on February 22nd, when we got kicked out by force from camp, a lot of people were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Because the pipeline is still going through. There's, you know, all of that stuff. And so like everyone felt like things were unfinished. And so people needed a place to go where they could still kind of keep up the fight against not just the Dakota Access Pipeline, but also staging. I assume a lot of you guys are waiting for Keystone XL and stuff like that, like we are. And so a lot of people were like, okay, what are we gonna do? And so I actually ended up calling Joy, and I said, hey, get a hold of Harold and see if people can move into the powwow grounds, even if it's just temporarily. And it was at first only gonna be a couple of weeks, right? And now it's become longer. And Harold Frazier, who's the chairman down here, really has an understanding of the need to stay and to keep to be aware of what's coming next, right? Because it's by no means over. So anyway, okay, awesome. Have at it.
Personally, I'm here because I've honestly never done something where I was immersed in a different culture or was able to spend time with other people, and I've never come to out west this far either, so I was really excited to get the opportunity to come out west and see what it's like, honestly, because I've never thought that land could like go this far, and I never really thought about like the people who lived here, so I really wanted to see what it was like.
Films, but they mostly now do music videos.
No way.
They're amazing.
That's cool.
American cheese? Oh,
Yeah,
I
do
know,
they
I know how
do
people
music
do that.
like for Rick and artists or anything else?
Yeah, they've done maybe like they've done a couple for Rick and Martin. I think that's
Who,
like
Rick
Rick
and
and Martin. I think that's the only one that you may know.
Okay.
Where's your hand
I'm-
sanitizer?
What kind of
it's
music
back
is
by the
it?
yurt.
Like, is it Puerto
It's
Rican
mostly in
music?
Spanish.
Maya has
Okay.
hand.
If you want to lift up on that end. Ready? Grab a hold of it. No, hold it right side up and then flip. Hold on to it, then flip.
For me especially, being with the kids has been really cool, just because I work in an elementary school, and so it's really interesting to see how my kids are and how they act, but how similar they are to these kids. And obviously they have really different lives and they go through different things, have different experiences, but I think what makes it so cool is that these kids, you know, they have the same interests and they grow up, you know, learning the basic moral values and that kind of thing. So I think that's really cool. I also think another experience that's been really awesome was when the whole group was putting up the Gare. Just seeing us all come together and build that was really cool. So that was a cool experience.
So we want to at least be able to produce our own food in the majority, produce our own energy. We have solar, wind, energy hybrid systems set up so that we can harvest the natural abundance that's around us, as well as we are setting up permaculture beds, and we're doing gardening in different styles, always trying to figure out what's best for this area so that we can help those around us to become sovereign. You know, we have a lot of people, especially on the reservation, talk about sovereignty, and that's our goal.
So beautiful here. There's so much land, and just seeing all the work everyone puts in and how hard everyone holds on to their culture and their traditions is really inspiring.
Oh, you don't want to be in the hole though. Over the hole. That'll throw you off too. But if your pull further down, then that's why we try to find a flat place.
You can stack rocks up and put them on rocks.
We'll have to get those bricks up there. And
Ta-da!
You're in.
awesome. Yay. So, did anyone see anything wrong with what's going on up there?
Yes. It's too high.
It's too high. What needs to happen?
Pull it out.
Yep. Good?
No, watch.
Talk to him. Someone talk
Keep
to him.
going. Keep going.
And always try to have somebody
There
push
you
on
go.
the support
There
in
you
the inside so you don't tear the canvas.
Is that good or does that have to come down?
Can you reach your back?
Did you have any
think Haley's
expectations
got it.
coming into this trip?
Not so much.
No.
Not to be stood on, but hey, you never know.
Is there any part that stands out to you on this particular venture?
Well, I'm really feeling it right now. It's been an experience I'm not quite sure I could stand.
Do you feel like when you get back, there'll be a big weight off your shoulders?
I think that weight's going to continue.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is that good?
Yep.
Does she need to do another?
I'm flying,
Just 3 more to do. Guys, I'm not that tall.
Should I go up there?
No, so what we're going to do is make me stand up.
No, I'm gonna fall.
No, you won't.
Here, we'll help you.
Oh my.
And if you do, it'll be
Yes.
So right now I would pull this rope out
Pull this out.
from the inside over top of that pin. Right, throw it out this way. Okay, somebody else grab the other rope.
Oh, are you gonna pull it together for me? Well,
Wow, this is really intense.
how is this done traditionally?
It's really intense.
So even if you notice that this isn't perfectly conical, the back end is kind of slightly more level. This end will be a little more vertical. The Abasarki, they do it a different way. Now we've had the opportunity to work with the people at Two Trees Incorporated to set up a geodesic dome from the Natural Spaces building company, and this dome is very perfect for our landscape and our weather systems here. It's been proven to withstand tornado force winds, and with the insulation that we're going to be putting into it, we're going to be able to handle our harsh cold winter climates. We're hoping that this will be something that's really good. We're setting this up as our community structure, and the way that our community will be set up is that this will be the central space for the entire community. People will have different styles and different domiciles that they'll be doing their own personal life in, but will be this will be a classroom, this will be a meeting place, this will be a gathering place for good times and for bad times, and so we will be that's what we hope that this space will be.
So the geodesic dome that has been donated to us will serve as a community center that will be for complete wellness of the people. And when I say the people, I mean all people who are willing to come and pray with us and be with us. It will be a ceremony house. It will be a place where we can learn to cook, prepare, and even store traditional foods to combat the diabetes epidemic. So when we think about wellness, we have to think about a whole person, which means we have to think, if you picture the medicine wheel, which of course is round, we have to think about it in terms of the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual wellness of a person. And that structure is going to contribute to all of that. It being round already will begin to contribute to the spiritual and emotional wellness of the people, and even the mental wellness of the people, because a round structure is just a lot more calm. It's a lot more conducive to the ceremonies that we have to and that we need to conduct. It's just such a fantastic gift. We're so excited, and I can't wait to see how it starts to spread. Once other people see how we're able to use it in such a good way, I feel like they'll be excited to set them up also. Currently, we have about 3 different Tioshbayes, or extended families, that are working on setting up the exact same type of model sustainable community. This is just, especially since the Standing Rock camps closed, this is something that's on everyone's radar. Everyone saw that we really can live in a better way, in a way that's closer to Mother Earth, and they're ready for it. They're excited for it. And so we have friends all over Cheyenne River in these different Tioshbayes who, once we get this set up here, they want to look at our successes, but also our failures, and learn how to adapt that for their own locations. We also have a lot of people up on the Standing Rock Reservation, just who we share a border with just to the north, who are also really interested in this, and even using these types of structures, these geodesic domes, as their homes, because what we currently have as far as HUD houses, we just call it tribal housing, is so unbelievably lacking in so many ways. It does not contribute to your mental, emotional, or spiritual health, and it certainly physically takes a toll. I remember I tell lots of stories about how difficult HUD houses are to live in, but my husband actually was doing some repairs in his mother's house, trying to make it a little more energy efficient, and he took the plate off of the electrical outlet and was able to see outside. There was a huge gap, probably half-inch gap, between the electrical outlet mechanism and the wall, and there was no insulation or anything, and that's just one tiny example of how inadequate those structures are. And so, it's our hope that we can have structures that really do meet all of those needs, that are energy efficient, cost effective, but that also nourish us as Indigenous people. So I spent the last year as the head of the Medic and Healer Council. And the Medic and Healer Council is the organization, the group of people who were responsible for the health and wellness and healing of the people in the Standing Rock camps near Cannonball, North Dakota. And so I lived in camp for a year, sometimes in a teepee and sometimes in a Mongolian ger, and I coordinated these medical services. Sometimes, we had injuries from rubber bullets, we had injuries from beanbag rounds, we had hundreds upon hundreds of people with injuries from pepper spray and tear gas, concussion grenades. We had people with injuries from dog attacks, and it was just we had people who were severely hypothermic due to being sprayed by water cannons in sub-freezing temperatures. It was a really insane situation, something that I still think about a lot, and even have nightmares about quite often. But something that I kept asking myself throughout that entire experience, and something I think that most of us in camp thought about, was when these camps are gone, when the people are gone, what is going to be left for the people who are still here? Very often what happens is, and when we actually saw it down in Wounded Knee back in the 1970s, all of this attention, all of these people, the people had to leave, and the community was left reeling and trying to recover from all of that. And so we thought about that very early on, and something that we have created that we're really proud of is the Maniwi Choni Clinic. And the Maniwi Choni Clinic is a fully integrative medical clinic that focuses on decolonized medicine that's going to be located in Fort Yates, North Dakota. And we are actually looking at geodesic domes for that structure.